It's day 527. It's also October 14th, 2020, and we are in Craig, Missouri. You ever wake up in the morning and ask yourself, what am I doing? And more importantly, why? Yeah, me too. Hi, my name's Craig, and this is my story. A story about life. Life out there. For visuals while listening, to watch the video versions of this podcast, or even just to say hey, check us out on our website at lifeoutthere.me. Our last night in Honey Creek saw thunderstorms moving in, and one of those late-night light shows that makes you just want to watch. Things seemed to be clearing out as we headed out the following day, and our zigzagging around the heartland would take a turn south when I spotted a sign stating that we were 60 miles from, another Craig. This one in Missouri. Just 60 miles from the Iowa border and 90 miles north of Kansas City. The rolling hills of Iowa's Loess region quickly gave way to cornfields, soybeans, and ranches. At this point, it's all feeling pretty familiar. And we rolled into town late in the afternoon. It wasn't hard to spot the only RV parking available in a town of 100 folks. And once parked, all hooked up and ready to stay for a few days, Dougie and I would take our first walk. And we could see it, feel it right away. Another small town that looked as if it had seen better days. But also, somehow, a tough town. Signs of damage, cleanup all around us. Businesses not yet reopened. Renovated homes and apartments, not yet reoccupied. What happened here, I wondered. We could only find 2 businesses open, Paula's Diner and a gas station. Some time on the internet would quickly point out that we had landed in Missouri's floodplain, and a town often referred to as River Tough. And here in this floodplain near the Missouri, these folks have been tested over and over. Floods, each time rebuilding, each time existing, in spite of what that river, the water, time, and now a pandemic try and throw at them. It may have felt quieter than many of the towns we've met, but it still felt alive, even if only barely. Signs of life, all tangled up with signs of wear and struggle. Rusted tractors, faded farm trucks, but also conversations. At the local gas station I'd hear, "How's the harvest going?" "It's going. We'll keep at it. Have it buttoned up before the snow flies, God willing." His tone? Tired, but hopeful. And I thought, that's exactly what resilience sounds like. And at Paula's Diner, as the young lady placed a pretty awesome omelet in front of me, she'd say, "One flood? That'd devastate most anyone. We've had 4. Last year's was the worst. Bomb cyclone, came fast. Whole town was underwater. Barely got this place opened back up when, bam, a pandemic. What's next, I wonder?" She queried as she topped off my coffee and smiled, "Enjoy," with a wink towards that omelet. So that night, I was curious. Why would a farming community set up shop in the middle of a floodplain? All made sense pretty quickly once I learned. Classic case, 19th century optimism, unknowingly running headfirst into the brute force of nature. The town was laid out in 1869 and named for a guy named James Craig, a brigadier general during the Civil War. He'd also been an attorney and would even serve in the U.S. House of Representatives. And it seems I'd found another Craig. This James Craig. I couldn't find any familial connection to any of my ancestors back there in Montana, but the name is becoming more common than I ever would have guessed. I'd also read that this Holt County, Missouri, in which Craig is located, was part of a more hotly contested area during the Civil War, occupied by sympathizers for both the North and the South. And Missouri itself was a border state during the conflict, meaning it regularly endured bloody battles, pitting neighbor against neighbor. And the state was also represented with a star on both the Union and the Confederate flags. And with all that rolling around in my head, it's easy to let the mind wander and wonder what might have taken place on these very grounds some 160 years ago. But anyway, back in 1869, the town's placement and location was strategic. Its proximity to that Missouri River and the local railway, well, it made it perfect for the town's population to boom to over 700 in no time. All that commerce and all. But all this, way before American settlers even knew what a floodplain was. It wouldn't be until later, when locals would learn hard lessons, and a town's history would become shaped by river history, by levees, and by flood cycles. Homes flooded, roads ruined, lives disrupted. Many lost hope and left, and the rest, well, they just got to work. And I thought about so many similar stories. Towns like Spirit Lake, Decatur, Tacoma. Places where nature and tragedy knocks in different ways. But each time and people rebuild. And more walks with Dougie. Sometimes it felt like we were walking through a painting. So still, so quiet. Most other times, it was just enjoying that brisk morning air of fall, and the day's sun slowly warming things up to just above hoodie weather. When night would come, and start the whole thing over again. Lots of passing by closed-up storefronts, silent homes, the occasional curtain shifting in the breeze in an open window, and the muted tone of a wind chime on someone's porch. Schools all closed up, playgrounds, baseball fields empty. And then that one afternoon, staring into one of the strangest examples of yard art I had ever seen. A couple dozen toilets. Yeah, toilets. Arranged carefully. Walkways installed. Ghoulish-looking scarecrow of sorts installed atop one of those toilets. And those two Bigfoot carvings wandering through. Some toilets painted. Some left to age in any way nature saw fit. Some used as planters. Some not. Gazing into it all, I felt the work, the time, the effort someone had put into all this. Toilets are heavy. And where did they all come from? And why here? On a road in Missouri that likely sees less traffic than most. But it's here. Someone meant it. They meant this. But what exactly did they mean? What were they trying to say? Or was it just the randomness of it all, meant to do nothing more than inspire thought? And if that's the case, well done, I suppose. And then, just sitting quietly next to the RV, listening. Still. Quiet. And then a gust of wind would add the sounds of dried leaves brushing past, and carry in the sound of a semi off in the distance. And a dog barking. Somewhere out there. And later yet, a quick check-in on the news. And, well, have a look.
Tonight, hospitalizations across the country are facing a crisis like they've never seen before.
It's a feeling of dread because we know what is coming.
The country setting a record for hospitalizations on Friday, the fourth day in a row, over 60,000. In just the last month, COVID hospitalizations in Illinois have nearly tripled. ICUs are quickly approaching capacity. Medical workers scrambling to keep up with the surge. And doctors like Michelle Prickett say healthcare workers are at a breaking point.
Everyone feels like they ran a marathon and now we're being asked to do an Ironman, and we're just tired.
Hospitals across the Midwest are being crippled by COVID. In Wisconsin, doctors and nurses are now forced to prioritize care, and they're running out of beds.
I never thought as a healthcare provider that I would be in the position of trying to decide who gets life-saving medical care and who doesn't. That kind of stuff isn't supposed to happen in the United States.
Hospitals under strain from coast to coast. In Pennsylvania, an elementary school gymnasium is now ready to be an overflow hospital. In Montana, health officials say they don't have enough staff to support rural populations. Utah healthcare workers overwhelmed by patients are forced to activate their surge plan, calling on New York nurses they helped in the spring to help them now during their darkest days.
A battle is easier won together, and it is the circle of trust and support that has kept us going.
Nurses are now begging the public to help them, asking the country to cancel Thanksgiving plans.
We didn't sign up for an unknown pandemic with limited resources, and it's very selfish to make that decision when there are people working really, really hard to keep you safe.
A warning from the front line that quarantine fatigue doesn't compare to the exhaustion inside the ICU.
And Megan joins us now from Los Angeles. Are they considering any new restrictions there?
Well, Jose, the mayor says it's a possibility if cases continue to rise. California just surpassed 1 million cases, and here at Dodger Stadium, they're testing thousands of people a day to try and stop the spread. Jose?
Megan Fitzgerald in Los Angeles, thank you.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for
This
checking out.
pandemic, no doubt, making it all harder here. COVID-19 has closed even more doors. Conversations once had in crowded rooms now happen from behind masks, or not at all. The flood scars are still visible on the landscape and in people's talk. But Craig didn't give in after 2019. It didn't fold. It rebuilt what it could, and still is. And I wondered, so what happens now? What happens when survival meets another crisis? Will Craig find its way through this? Flood, pandemic, economic strain? Can people who stayed dig their roots even deeper? Will small businesses reopen? Will homes dry out? Will the Missouri's mood ease for a time? Man, I hope so, for these folks. Because I feel like River Tough isn't just a nickname. It's an identity. It's history. It's what this place is made of. It'll take time. It'll take community, maybe more. But from what I saw and felt, they'll get through it. And us? We're headed out tomorrow. A review of those gig apps that I had learned about and downloaded back there in Spirit Lake, Iowa. I saw something interesting. A book distributor in Lincoln, Nebraska needs help prepping and shipping orders as they head into their busy season. Part work, part curiosity, but mostly just keeping this adventure moving and learning. As I fell asleep replaying the story of Craig, Missouri in my head, a community of 100 or so folks that get up every day and think, yeah, let's do this. Let's rebuild again. Another American story. I also pondered the thought of spending time in a place called Lincoln, Nebraska. Almost 300,000 Americans call Lincoln home. It's just 98 miles, but already feels like a world away from this small town. And I wonder what we'll learn there. This thing called life comes with a lot of rules. Maybe it's time to break a few. Because you can. No, seriously. You can.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.